Welcome to Biztech's Enterprise Technology Show, where we feature tech companies that are in the large enterprise space. Now, our featured company today is Rimini Street, which was founded in 2005 by former PeopleSoft executives. Rimini Street has made itself a name for offering cheaper support for Oracle and SAP products than the vendors themselves provide. Now, this business model hits an under-the-radar but critical aspect of deploying big-ticket products from any software giant. Now, which is the need to constantly keep these systems updated. Now, here to tell us more about this is Andrew Seow, Regional General Manager, ASEAN and Greater China at Rimini Street. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Hi, Brian. Glad to be here. Great to have you.
Now, Andrew, can you start by just kind of giving us an overview of Rimini Street's business?
Sure. So, Brian, Rimini Street, as you have noticed, was founded in 2005 in the US and by a group of ex-PeopleSoft employees at that time. They were actually in that maintenance business, and they found that customers are not actually getting value out of software maintenance that they paid for. The 22% that they paid to Oracle and SAP, customers are not getting value. So they founded that, to give more value to customer, they founded Rimini Street, where we provide better service in terms of SLA, better value in terms of assigning a primary support engineers, right? And also financially make it very attractive for customers to basically migrate their maintenance service from SAP Oracle to Rimini Street. So we have been in the business for the last 16 years. Yes.
So tell us a little bit in terms of some of your service offerings.
Sure. So Rimini Street is a software support partner, right? We only do software support, right? So we actually replaces the stack that SAP and Oracle does on the software support portion. So that's a bulk of our business today. We are also moving into other business like AMS and also other consulting services.
What is AMS, please?
Is application management services. So that's where customer wanted to do change requests, system admin, right? A lot of our customers today are feedbacking to us that, they want to go to a single point of contact for their software issues, right? So they wanted a single point of contact where Rimini Street will do all the software changes and also the software maintenance for them if there's any issues.
And so in this region, what are the verticals and customers that you target? And give us some examples of some key customers in the region.
Sure. We have been actively in this Asia Pacific business for the last 6 years, but when I came on board two and a half years ago, we're active in major markets, right? Malaysia is one of our major markets, Singapore, Philippines, and Indonesia. So today in Malaysia, we have Proton, right, as a very key customer of Rimini Street. So this is where Proton migrated their software support from SAP to Rimini Street around 2 years ago. So the whole chain, right, the whole chain of supply chain of Proton is being managed by Rimini Street. So if, Brian, today you decide to buy a car, you walk into a Proton reseller, when you press the order button, right, that will be managed by Rimini Street and maintained by Rimini Street all the way till you take your car, maybe 2-3 weeks later, and so forth. So we have been supporting Proton in terms of ordering to all fulfillment, right, as they run their ERP system. We also have key customers in Indonesia, a company called PT Calvi. They are actually a pharmaceutical company. As you know now, with this COVID situation, pharmaceutical companies are booming. So we do have, we support them in terms of how they run their ERP to make sure that, the supply chain is not disrupted, right? So we have many of these customers who have benefited from migrating to Rimini Street.
And which sort of verticals do you focus on? Because you talked, obviously Proton is automotive, where SAP traditionally has been very, very strong. But in Rimini Street, you basically support everything from Oracle to SAP, Siebel, and so forth. So which are the verticals that you are strongest in?
We have I would say that any ones that run SAP or Oracle is our target list, right? But we do have a lot of our customers from the automotive vertical. So we have people like Proton, we have people like Kia, Hyundai, which is our major customers. We also have in the manufacturing sector, which is always in a cost crunch, right?
Yes.
So we have customers like Pulse, right? Like Supreme in Taiwan, right? So manufacturing is one key one for us, and also pharmaceutical. We have a lot of pharmaceutical companies that actually compete very aggressively. Not in Asia, but in globally, our retail practice is also very big. So all the fast food, right, are actually our customers.
Now, what has been the go-to-market strategy for Rimini Street? Because you're late comer late in the game in terms of Asia. You're pretty new, only 6 years. Has it been a partner strategy, or do you go direct?
Rimini Street will interact or contract directly with customers, because that's where we interact with customers. That's where we have a direct relationship with the customer, where we provide the service. So we will go directly to the customer here. We do have a reseller model, but the reseller model is when they want to bundle, solution together, right? That's where we will partner. But I would say that 90% to 95% of our business are direct with customers, right?
Okay.
And we view customer relationship as key today. So we have a group of what we call the client success manager that actually take care of our customer in country. So we have in country CSM in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Taiwan to take care of our customers.
Let's talk specifics. Could you give us a specific example of how you help customers and how customers use your products and save money, and quantify some of those savings in terms of time and cost?
So I think we spoke about Proton, right? Proton is a very well-known name in Malaysia. The Proton cars are all over Malaysia, right? So that's where Proton came to us. They were in a very tight situation. They were in a very competitive situation where they compete by the hundreds of ringgits, right? With the brands of Honda, Toyota, and so on. So they came to us with the envision to manage their costs and also get better service from us. So we were able to help them to lower their cost of maintenance, right? More than 50% of what they have been paying to SAP, so that they can actually reinvest that into factories, right? Building of factories and building of new processes elsewhere. This story of Proton is a very familiar story to all our customers. Today, when Rimini Street comes to our customers, our prospect, right, we will at least save them more 50% or more, right? Depending on what is their vision of wanting to upgrade or change their landscape. But we will cut half of their maintenance fee so that they can reinvest into things that matter, right? Things that actually touches the customer, rather than having paid that 100% and the ERP system is behind doors.
Now, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. How you basically achieve some of these savings is a couple of ways. One is to push back upgrades and migration, and also to extend the life cycle of existing ERP and CRM implementations. Is that correct?
That's exactly right, Brian. I mean, many of our customers today are running SAP Oracle. They have been doing it for the last 5-10 years, and such ERP, as you know, are very stable, right? Yes. And during this pandemic time, customers are not looking to spend additional money or additional to upgrade the things that works, right? So there's always a saying in the IT market: don't touch things that works, right? Don't try to be creative on that. So we have a lot of customers who are happy with what they are getting, and they want to extend the lifetime of this software, and also to utilize or fulfill all the ROIs on the hardware, because hardware are also quite expensive, major items of IT spend. So that's where Rimini Street comes in, because we do not limit the customer on when have you got to upgrade, how are you going to upgrade, and if you don't upgrade, you will not be supported. So Rimini Street comes with a viewpoint that, we will take as you are at this stage, and we'll support. Our commitment to you is that we will support for the next 15 years if you want to. Customers might decide down the road 3 years, 5 years that they want to upgrade. or re-implement a solution, that's fine. But I think customers are very assured that we are with them, right? So what is this in Rimini Street terms is we call the business-driven roadmap, right? So the business actually drive the investment rather than what we call the vendor dictator roadmap, where the vendor will say that, oh, if you don't upgrade on a certain time, you'll be out of support. You can use the software, you can do whatever you want, but you'll not be supported. So Brian, if you are the CIO, you're taking significant risks, right? To run a system that is not supported by any company.
That's how the big boys like SAP and Oracle held, to some extent, their clients to ransom, say, oh, your support is going to run out, you have to upgrade. So you push the customer into an upgrade cycle.
Yeah, exactly. So we have some customers that does it. I mean, we have to admit that in the whole globally, there are some customers who are willing to take that because they have enough funds, they have strong backing. But especially during this COVID situation for the last 18 months, we see that, you know, customers are willing to spend, right? Customers are willing to spend, CFO are willing to spend, but they are only willing to spend on things that matter, things that move the needle, right? So that's where what we see from a Rimini Street standpoint for the last 18 months, even though it's a COVID situation, but our business have been ramping up, as you could see from, you know, our earnings on a quarterly basis.
Now, you know, you've got a lot of key competitors, people like Spinnaker Support who do a similar thing, as well as the software principals like SAP and Oracle, who obviously have upped their game and hate you because you are muscling into their space. If I'm a CIO and I want to reduce my cost, why should I pick you? What is your secret sauce?
Yeah, that's a good question, Brian, and we get that at every sales call that we do. It's just like you go to the doctor asks what's your pain point, right?
Yeah.
So I think to level set the landscape, no one does third-party maintenance as well as Rimini Street, right? We believe that we are best in class in terms of third-party independent software solution provider. So that have been verified by Gartner that we are leading the pack, right? We are the market leaders. So as you look through our list of customers, 4,000 customers that we have, more than 200 are Fortune 500 customers, right? And what I've described to you, Proton and many of these key customers that we have in this region, that actually adds a lot of confidence to our prospect today. When we approach a prospect, they are not afraid because they are not the first one to take the leap of faith, because many of them of similar size or even bigger have actually taken the leap. So if you look at some of our press releases, we have been certified as an official vendor, right, for third-party maintenance in Australia, in elsewhere globally. So that actually enhanced our position as a good third-party maintenance provider partner. That's point one. Point two is that we do give good service, right? At the end of the day, your price might be attractive, but if you do not have good service, right, there's no way customer will continue to renew the contract with you.
Everyone will say, I give good service. How do you quantify your good service?
That's a very good question, in fact. And you know, for Rimini Street, every ticket that you put in, every ticket that our customer put in, we actually have a customer scoring. So as a customer, I'll score the knowledge of the engineers that service me, you know, the timeliness and so on. Out of 5 points, right, Rimini Street is at 4.9. That's what the customer is telling us, right? Customer is telling us that we are close to full marks, right? So that actually, you know, give evidence that, you know, we give good service. That's point one. Point two is that many of our customers today are referenceable. They want to give good reference for us. So we have customers talking to one another, you know, especially in Malaysia, right? They have this very closely knitted CIO community, right? So people are exchanging information about, you know, the vendors, latest trend and so on. So we get a lot of good traction out of that.
Now, I want to move a little bit from CIO to CFO. You've just done a global CFO survey. Yeah. Could you kind of share some of the key findings that were in that survey?
Sure. I think there are a few points. The major points first is that 80% of the CFO, right, consider digital transformation as top priority, right? during this COVID situation where, especially in Malaysia and now in Singapore, customer can't meet face to face. Going digital is key, right? So how to enable that digital transformation is a key priority for CFO to invest on, right? And two is that we found that CFO actually, 87% of the CFO actually expect technology spend to go up, right? So yeah, that's very interesting because they see that the spend will go up because of people being captured. You need to reach a wider audience. Previously, you're reaching audience in Malaysia. Now you want to reach audience globally. So how to do it? Only technology can enable that, right? And the third point that I want to make is that many CFO, right, a majority of the CFO agree that they have to spend money on things that matter, right? Things that move the needle, right? So that's where CFO are very open to work with CIO. And the last finding that we found out, the major finding that we found is that there's strong collaboration now between the CIO and CFO. They work in hand, right? The CIO can't basically approve a project just from a technology standpoint, right? It has to be coming from a cost standpoint and how much is able to generate revenue for the company, right? And from our personal experience, Brian, we feel that in all our sales engagement, if we don't speak to the CFO, our success rate is not as high as what we want to.
But you see, the thing is, you speak that language. When you go and make a sales call as Rimini Street, your sales guy is basically the moment, if I were a CFO or CIO and I see Rimini Street right now, the first thing I need to do, I will come to my mind is, these guys are going to save me money.
Yep, that's correct. But these people that we are dealing with are high caliber people, the CIO and CFO. They are not buying things just because it's of a lower cost, right? We would like to position ourselves, Rimini Street, as value for money. Value for money means that I'm paying $1, but I'm getting 150 of the value.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where we come to our CIO and CFO and says that, today you're not getting much from the principal, right? You're not getting a lot of support. You're not getting a lot of attention because you're just one of the many customers that they have, yes. Right? I mean, you would not have access to all their top guns in those principal company because you're just one of the many that they have, right? So, but from a Rimini standpoint, right, you will be an important customer to us because we value each and every of our customer, right? So the magnitude of attention you get from Rimini will be very different from the principal. That's one.
And can I check with you also on this? My research indicated that Rimini Street actually has a named chief engineer in the contract. Is that correct?
That's correct. We call it a primary support engineer.
Yeah.
So you imagine, Brian, today you're on a certain telco and you had a problem with your handphone, right? So you call the call center, and Andrew takes up the phone, and you explain your problem to him, and then say, okay, sir, Brian, let me call you back because I will diagnose your problem and so on. And then you waited two hours later, no one called you, call up again, and then Mary picks up the phone, and you have to explain again the issue, right?
Right.
So our founder, Seth Raven, found that this was a common issue that they have at that time. So we assigned a primary support engineer or technical account manager to take care of you as a customer, Brian. So I know your terrain, I've been working with you, I know what is your technical landscape. So no longer you have to explain to me what's exactly in your landscape that you have a problem, right? I know your landscape. I will advocate for you within Rimini how to solve the issue.
Yeah, and that's what I saw was interesting when I did my research. I said, when you have that, because the classic consulting model is you have a senior person, a partner coming in to do the sales, and then after that, it's left to a very junior person. So I think that's a key differentiator that I noticed when I was doing the research on this.
That's correct. I mean, a lot of our customers appreciate that because you are no longer calling to a call center when you have a problem. You are calling a known person, a known entity that you basically will be serviced on, and you have the ability to rate his service. Remembering the customer satisfaction score?
Yes, that's right.
if that actually drops, right, he will be, kindly interviewed and, find out how we could improve that service.
I'm sure that his bonus and KPI is tied. One of the KPIs is basically tied to customer satisfaction.
Of course. To delight our customer is the chief end of Rimini Street, right? Because we recognize that customer is the most important pie of all our work here, right? So that's something that, Brian, as I interact with a lot of prospects, right, across Southeast Asia, this is something that they value a lot.
Now, Andrew, you mentioned earlier in the CIO survey how a shift is taking place where the CIO and the CFO really work hand in hand together. Now, have you noticed other shifts and shifts in focus and priorities in IT leadership over the last 12 months in the region?
Yeah, the last 12 months has been very interesting for us because we have been speaking to a lot of C-suite executives. They become accessible to us because no longer they have to travel, across, right? They become a video call just like now away, yes, and a phone call away. What we see is that they have actually shifted from looking at their business inwardly to outwardly, right? How do they want to expand their business in the digital front? The digital front is a big concern for a lot, the manufacturing, the automotive, and even the pharmaceutical, right? They want to get their products out to the market, right? Yeah. Previously was a lot of face-to-face, a lot of interaction within the country itself. So that's why inside our CFO study, you see that CFO and the C-suite people are willing to spend, right? They are willing to invest. They are willing to spend, things that move the needle. So this is things that will move the needle. They will generate revenue. But on the other side of it, they will also want to lower the costs of the operation because everyone is being measured by the bottom line anyway, yeah, right? So that's where CFO would always look to the CIO and say, okay, this year, right, how much money can you save, right, from an operational standpoint, right? 10, 15, 20%, right, without affecting the daily operation. So that's a challenge that CIO has, always, so that's where Rimini Street comes in, right? I would say that our value proposition, the financial value proposition is very attractive, Brian, but CIO would never compromise on quality.
Yes.
Right?
Because very large enterprises that you have, because he's got KPIs. These are mission critical businesses like Proton, your example.
So we just take an example of Proton. Could you imagine if the production line stops? Yeah. Right? What is the repercussion? Right? So that's where we did a very, very thorough assessment with Proton, and they felt very comfortable with our support model. Right? Our primary support engineer, we cover more support than they require from the vendor. We give better SLA. Right, our SLA today, Brian, is 10 minutes response time for critical one issue. So what it means is that if you lock in a critical one issue, right, within 10 minutes, someone will call you, right, to note down all the issue and start working on that. But most likely, your call will be within 2 to 3 minutes because of the person that we have assigned to you, right? So these are a lot of value proposition that customers favor, especially in this time when they need a very strong partner, right, to support them.
Andrew, so final question: what's next for Rimini Street in the next in the region over the next 12 months?
I think for us, we are seeing a lot of traction from Malaysia. Right, Malaysia is a very key market for Rimini Street. We have a team of people, engineers, marketers, business development managers based out of Malaysia to service our customer, and even customer success manager. This is one area that we want to grow. We are just only at the tip of the iceberg of the clientele in Malaysia, right?
Yeah, because there's a huge install base of Oracle ERP and SAP ERP and CRM installations.
That's correct. But I think, Brian, to be honest with you, this Rimini Street value proposition might not be might not be for everyone. And we recognize that. We recognize that. So we come from a perspective that if we are able to capture majority part of the market share, I think we will be kept very, very busy, right? Philippines, Indonesia, and Singapore is also a growth area for us. That's where we are also expanding our business into aggressively, and we have a very good set of customers over there. So a lot of expansion plan for us, a lot of increasing of headcounts. Rimini Street is hiring people, right? Even in this pandemic time to support our business, really.
Andrew, thank you for taking your time to be on the show.
Thank you, Brian. It's my pleasure.
Now, I'm Brian Fernandez, and I've been speaking to Andrew Seow, Regional General Manager, ASEAN and Greater China of Rimini Street on Biztech's Enterprise Technology Show. This video will be on our Facebook and LinkedIn sites, as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Please subscribe and like our various platforms. Thank you very much for tuning in.